Welcome back to Great Adventures with members of the Florida Powerboat Club as we kick off the 2019 season. This episode is brought to you by Mercury Racing, sponsors of the all-new Cigarette 38 Top Gun Project 1080. With complete coverage of our very first 2019 event, the Winter Poker Run to the Florida Keys, and we are visiting Hawks Cay Resort at Duck Key, which is at approximately mile marker 61, which equates to about 61 miles from Key West and about 60 miles in the opposite direction to Key Largo, and that's why we call it the Middle Keys. And today we're out for a Saturday fun run heading down towards Marathon. A little bit choppy offshore as we catch up with Matt Borsina and his lady Dawn on this 36-foot Wright Performance Cat, a pair of Mercury Verado 400Rs, and a very, very popular boat coming out of the Performance Boat Center camp, one that is built exclusively for Performance Boat Center. And this was a big step up for Matt from his 28-foot skater that he had when he first joined the club. But since he got this 36 Wright Performance, he's been doing a lot more poker runs, so that has really increased his Florida boating lifestyle, and he's just carving his way through this rough water today, enjoying the performance of this 36-foot cat. And you know you're going to see some cigarettes on these runs. Let's welcome back Kevin and Melissa Welch from Massachusetts in this 35-foot cigarette cafe. Heat her up. He's done a bunch of events with us over the years. 2018 was very active with the club and getting things kicked off here in 2019, getting the cigarette out and really having a great time out here in this rough chop. Of course, these cigarette hulls were designed for these rough waters, and as long as you trim this boat right and keep the throttle down, you're going to be able to plow through at 50 or 60 miles per hour with no trouble whatsoever. And representing our sponsors at Boats Direct USA and Deep Impact is Ron and Dana McLean from Fort Lauderdale, running this $399 powered by Quad Mercury 400R Verados. She's all white because Deep Impact builds a lot of white boats because they don't always know where they're going to go, and they do a spec boat, and this way the purchaser can get the boat and paint it the way they wish to. Sometimes they leave them white, sometimes they paint them up with incredible custom graphics, but if you're a boat dealer, it's always good to leave her as a clean blank slate before the owner takes possession. And of course, the owners of this brand are Mark and Eileen Fisher, who have a home nearby in Key Largo. They're going to be catching up with us just a little later in the event. And now, a long way from home, Texas that is, Roger and Pam Anderson in their 39-foot Nortec Easy Money 2. This is a 39 center console that changed their boating lifestyle. They also own a 42 fountain, but when they purchased this Nortec center console with triple 350 Verados, they decided to go on more Florida Powerboat Club events, and they have been strong supporters ever since. And now, celebrating 2 years of ownership of this 42-foot Mystic center console, Ray and Christine Grimaud from New York, they can say that it's been 2 years exactly because it was on this very event, the Winter Poker Run to Marathon at that time, when club member Ron Zolak and I brought this boat down to Marathon. They took a ride in it and loved it and did the deal right afterwards. So 2 years enjoying this fantastic 42-foot Mystic center console with triple Mercury 350 Verados. And it's another 36-foot Wright Performance Cat, Mark and Susan Monroe from New Jersey, powered by Mercury Racing 400Rs, and coming up on their 1-year anniversary of purchasing this boat at the Miami Boat Show just a year earlier. So they've done a lot of poker runs with her, and it was a big change for them coming out of a 39-foot cigarette to go into a 36-foot cat. But if you talk to Mark, he says he's loving it. He thinks he made the right choice, and they're just having a blast. And it looks like we've got all the boats slowed down and just doing a little milling segment here while we wait for the entire group to catch up. And the purpose of this is really to get everyone together so that we can get that perfect money shot going through the Moser Channel and the 7 Mile Bridge. In the meantime, while we're getting the group together, let's just do a quick flashback from our previous first episode with feature coverage of the Winter Poker Run, where we got a few of the other teams running in the rough stuff offshore from Duck Key down to Marathon. And we got all the teams gathered up now. Time for that money shot going through the historic and landmark 7 Mile Bridge. This is a shot everyone wants to get as the first 2 boats lead through the bridge and everyone falls in suit. This is really a great shot to get, and it makes for a great blow up too as a still. You can say, hey, I was one of the boats down there in that pack. But here we are right at mile marker 48 in the lower keys or middle to lower keys, only just about a mile or 2 from Marathon. And if any of you remember back in the days of offshore racing, this was a very popular site as the race boats back in the late 90s and right on up until about 2004, 2005. They had races here in Marathon, and the race boats would go right through this section of the bridge at full-on speed, 130, 140 miles an hour through the spans of this bridge. And I remember some of the racers telling me that when they're coming up to the bridge at 130 or 140, those spans look really, really narrow. You can just imagine what it would be like. Here we are, we're cruising through at about 45 miles an hour, and everyone's being on their best guard to make sure they're in the middle of those spans. But it's got to be a great sight for those motorists up on the bridge too, as they cross over and see these power boats rushing through underneath. And now it's time for the chopper to close in and get a closer look at all of our teams. Let's begin with Robbie and Anjamgula from Georgia in this Glasstream 36 powered by triple Mercury Verado 350s. A great valued center console at just under $300,000. Guys, this is the perfect poker run boat, and at that kind of a price, there's no reason why you can't get out and join all the fun and be a part of this fantastic sport we have. Made in Georgia, that's Dothan, Georgia, where the factory is. We joined them and took a factory tour earlier this year, which was great, and joined A.L. Kirkland, the owner of the company, Cruz Rutherford. And this is a group of people that have joined us up in the Destin area for the Emerald Coast event many times. But it's nice to see this group coming down here and visiting us in South Florida and getting down to the Florida Keys in the middle of January. Noel and Gretchen Speranza are really enjoying this 44-foot concept powered by 4 Mercury Racing 400Rs, having a great time and doing a lot of poker runs. In their earlier years with the club, they spent a lot of time in a 42-foot fountain, which let them down just one time too many, and this concept was the answer to their boating stress. They've had no stress on this boat, just a lot of fun. And time to say hi to George Ariano and his new Phantom 32 race boat. Getting all ready, using these poker run events to test for the racing series, which will come up in the late spring. So this winter poker run gave them the perfect opportunity for his driver and throttleman to jump on board, push these throttles, and really get this little 32 aired out. She's running about 600 horsepower, a very narrow, a very light V-bottom. That's going to be a great performer in its racing class. And another spectacular 399 deep impact here as we join Team Mayhem, David and Lori Postel from Michigan, who have been very loyal and avid supporters of this club for many, many years with different boats along the way. But this, of course, is one of the most spectacular, colorful Deep Impact 399s that were ever built. Sadly, since we went into production on this episode just about a month ago, we lost David Postel to a very long bout with cancer, which took Dave from us at a very young age, only 49 years old. So join me, please, to remember Dave Postel and share your thoughts and prayers for his family. And back with more close-ups of Mark and Susan Monroe from New Jersey in this 36-foot Wright performance. Notice the difference in the water now. We're on the backside. It's very calm, and everyone's getting a chance to open the throttles up and run just a little faster. And one more time with Ray and Christine Grimaud in this 42-foot Mystic. Love the color of this boat. It's like a brilliant metallic, almost like a greenish gold, a unique color for sure. I've never seen one like it, but it really stands out on the water. And if you like rooster tails, you'll love this boat. Kevin and Oksana Klein from Colorado, 43-foot Donzi, Team Pack and Heat. And that heat just happens to be a pair of big T 1200s running on race fuel, and this boat is very, very fast. And the Winter Poker Run was a very special event for me personally because Project 1080 was finally on the water after a 9-month restoration. So this was the first event that Project 1080 really had a capacity as an official pace boat, and I just loved the way she ran. I was very happy with the outcome. Of course, I was joined by my family, but at this point in time, for the first part of the run, I had guests on board who were charity donors from previous events. We had Dane Michael and his wife who made a donation at the Emerald Coast Poker Run last summer, and we had Seth and Prudence Leverance, who are locals from the Boca area. They had made a donation to a charity they participated in earlier this year, and they joined us again. So second time for them. They joined us a couple of years earlier when they'd made a donation at a similar event. So thanks to these couples for joining me. And it's one more time with Ron and Dana McLean from Boats Direct USA, the sales division for Deep Impact boats, which are built in Miami, as well as Blackwater boats, and they continue to sponsor the Florida Powerboat Club for all of these events. Mark and Eileen Fisher are not on board today. They're going to join us later on for the evening party, but thanks again to Deep Impact for their tremendous support and being here on this first run. Now we're catching up with George and Ann Ariano from Ocala, Florida in this Sensation 36 powered by Mercury Racing 540s, the exact same power that is in my Project 1080 cigarette. I always kid George about how he decides which boat to bring to the poker runs because he has a stable full of more than a dozen power boats, but he's actually changed his ways and started inviting his friends to come along and drive his other boats. So he's got 2 registered here, not only the Sensation but also the Phantom, and on his next event he says he's bringing 3. And it's another Nortec 39 center console, this time Jimmy Harrison FJ propeller. That's right, Frank and Jimmy's propeller from Fort Lauderdale, quad Mercury 400R Verados, and Jimmy is just taking it easy with a nice small crew this time. In Key West, he had about 20 people on the boat. Looks like he's only got about 7 or 8 this time. That's actually a small group for him, but I'm sure they're having a great time as they get away for the weekend down in the Keys. And a little more time now here with Kevin and Melissa Welch again, all the way from Massachusetts, a long way from home, and that's why they're here on the Winter Poker Run. We've got so many people that are from way up north just enjoying this beautiful tropical Florida Keys weather. Right about here, he says, "Hey, Melissa, take a picture of me with my iPhone and send it to all my friends back home in Massachusetts so I can say, hey, guys, what the hell are you doing this weekend?" Anyway, yeah, it is kind of fun to do that when you're in the Keys in this beautiful weather and enjoying the ride on a cigarette power boat. You kind of want to show off a little, and you know what? Nothing wrong with that. And we're now reaching our lunch destination, Island Fish Company in Marathon, which is a landmark stopover with plenty of dockage. We can squeeze about 25 to 30 boats in here at any given time, and we've never really had trouble getting in here. They're very friendly people. They love having the Powerboat Club in, and they'll even get the pressure washer out and clean all of the bird poop off the docks for us, so we've got nice, clean docks to arrive to. Food here is fantastic. I think anyone who's dined here would know this. and it's really just in an ideal location on the protected bay waters, about 5 miles from the 7 Mile Bridge and about 10 miles from Duck Keys. So really a great spot for us to stop over today. But while everybody was having lunch, it was a chance for me to get my family on board the all-new Project 1080, at least new to us, because it was our first poker run. And Jackie and the boys drove down from Fort Lauderdale and came down to see us. So now I've got my family on board while my other guests are having lunch, and now it's Jackie and Tyler and Maxwell for the very first time on the Project 1080 since she was completed. And we took a little bit of solo helicopter time to go out and push the throttles, and we all got our matching winter poker run tees on, because I'm really anal about that stuff, guys. You gotta all wear the same thing. But a very special moment for us as a family, because they all know that Dad spent the last 9 or 10 months working on this boat feverishly, and we spent a lot of money to get her done. But the sponsors were so engaged and so involved in helping us to get this boat done on time. Special thanks to Pat Sullivan and all the gang from Performance Marine Trading who did all the rigging on the boat. And Pat was very patient with me because he knew that I was always struggling to get the parts together and all the components that we needed to finish the boat. And he was, cracking the whip with his guys, Eric, who did the rigging, and Phil, who did a lot of the dash and component work inside the boat. And it was really just a lot of a struggle to get everything done on time. We wanted to have the boat finished for Key West Poker Run a couple of months earlier, but that didn't work out. So having the boat here for the first event on our 2019 calendar year really worked out great. I got so many compliments from everyone, especially with just the initial look of the boat, the paintwork, which was done by Dark Force Marine. Tony and Jason over there did a great job on that. Of course, the interior done by Mike Mears at Fine Line is just a striking interior and cockpit, which we'll show you more of in some future episodes here covering Project 1080. And then, of course, the marine mat by Bulletproof Decking. That was unique. As you look on the forward deck, that's all marine mat, and it makes it easy to board and get on and off the boat, and of course do lines on the forward section of the boat. These decks can be wet and slippery at times, and this is just a much safer way to manage those parts of using a cigarette power boat. Looking at the back, brand new transom and swim platform that was built by Custom Pipe Design. And the list goes on. What you can't see are things like the underwater lights from Apex Lighting, all new LEDs, and even the dash and the helm, the detail of that, again, covered in some of the videos that we did for this boat. Every aspect of this boat, from stem to stern, so many hands touched it, and so many people really gave it 100%, the very best that they could do in their product and services to make this a very successful project. Of course, thanks to Mercury Racing. Without them, we wouldn't even have the Project 1080, which is the sum of two 540s. They're Mercury Racing 540 stern drives. And we later adapted the 38 Top Gun to a brand new Myco trailer, painted aluminum trailer, which was delivered in the spring of 2019. So that completed the package. But really enjoying it for the very first time with my family on board. You can see that one cushion was coming up, but we got that back to Mike later, a few weeks later, and he fixed all that, and everything working just fine now. And of course, the cockpit fully equipped with marine electronics from Superior Communications, and on the dash, a lot of my instruments, all from Lavoisier Marine Inc. So the best of everything, guys. A 2000 model year cigarette made to be a 2018 model year with all of these enhancements. A resto mod is probably the best way to describe her, and a project that I truly enjoyed. And to be here with my family for the very first time in the Florida Keys to take a family ride on the Project 1080 really made it memorable for all of us. And we wrapped up lunch at the Island Fish Company, and with our photo and video crew back on the ground now, Joe Cottrady was able to get his drone up in the air. So now, in addition to the helicopter footage we got earlier, Joe has now got his drone in hot pursuit as he chases down Robbie Eula in the 36 glass stream. And we're going to make our way back through the Vaca Cut and cut right through Marathon over towards the Key Colony Beach side. I think some of us are going to stop for fuel in there. There's a great fuel stop, for those of you who don't know, right inside the Vaca Cut, just on the other side of the US 1 bridge. So we're going to stop for fuel and then take a scenic ride out the other side of the Key. And you've got to love these beautiful shots that the drone can get, flying so low, and you get a great close-up of the teams as they cross underneath, and you can see just how beautiful the waters are on this bay side, so protected, and you can't believe that you're in the middle of January here in the Keys, and you wonder why this is such a great destination for boaters, because the seas are so calm. If you get into these calm coves and waterways, might be a little choppy offshore, but there's still a lot of places you can go where it's not choppy. And I think that's why we love going to the Keys so much, especially in the wintertime, because you can pretty much travel all the way from Miami down to Key West and not really have to go out into the ocean at all. Even though it is pretty breezy on the ocean side here today, look at how calm it is over on the bayside waters. Well, just to have a little recap of our overall first event for 2019, we had about 20 registered teams here for this winter poker run to the Florida Keys. I think everyone would agree that the weather was fantastic. We loved Hawks Cay Resort, but wasn't quite what we expected as organizers. We thought the marina was going to be completed. We were able to get into the slips that were fixed from previous construction projects, but the main part of the marina, which you cannot see here, it's off on the other side, was not yet complete. It was still under construction and closed to us, so we didn't have access to the restaurant via the waterways. We didn't really have, the marina wasn't really fully operational, which is something that we wanted. No big deal. We made the best of it, and everyone seemed to have a great time. As we got back here to the marina, we had one more night where we all got together, had a nice party at the Ale House one night, and the other nights we were able to go off property and enjoy some of the restaurants in town. Here's a great shot of the Ale House restaurant where we spent one night for dinner, and you can see that most of the slips were empty. That's because they were still under construction, but I think that the property has great potential and should be completed soon. At least I hope it gets completed before the end of 2019. And a nice shot of the basin. Here's a shot of Duck Key, where the boats come in on this protected rim canal. So you see the rock jetty that protects these homes and the waterway from the ocean side, and we come in from the, I guess you could say, the south side or the southeast side of the Key, and then come on in through this rim canal. It's about a 1 mile ride and a slow idle speed to get into the main property. In the background you can see the actual villas that we all stayed in. This is pretty much the common sight here at Hawks Cay Resort, these 2-story villas that are really nice and cozy, mostly 2 bedrooms, some are 3. They have full kitchens and nice decks you can sit out on with beautiful views here on this side anyway, looking out onto the bay waters. So I think it's a great boating destination, and we just hope that the property is able to complete all of its construction projects so that at least for boaters and for big boating groups, they can have some successful events here. If we had 30 or 40 boats, it would have been a problem, but with 20, we did just fine. So thank you very much to all of the participants and to our sponsors for joining us here for the first event of 2019, the Winter Poker Run to the Florida Keys. We're planning ahead now for the 2020 edition of this event. We're not going to return to Hawks Cay Resort, but we are probably going to go to Marathon. We'll get back to you with more. It'll be all on the club website. So if you do want to attend this event, it will be staged in late January, as it always is, and we'll be looking to get your registration forms in real soon. We had a fantastic ride home on Sunday, and this I shot with my iPhone from the helm of the Project 1080. So guys, all I can say is this is about as good as it gets, weaving through the Florida Keys and the mangrove waterways at about 55 miles per hour, heading back to Miami. We had a fantastic time, and we hope you enjoyed this first in a series of all of our 2019 Powerboating in Paradise episodes here. Stu Jones with the Florida Powerboat Club, and I want to thank our sponsors, including Mercury Racing, who helped us and partnered with us on this Project 1080, as well as all of the other 2019 series manufacturing sponsors who have been helping the club out for so many years and are back here with us again in 2019. And be sure to stay tuned right here on YouTube for our next episode featuring the Miami Boat Show coverage all the way from Miami to Key Largo, where we visited the Playa Largo Resort and the all-new Baker's Cay Resort. Remember to subscribe to our channel here, Florida Powerboat Club, on YouTube, and click the notification bell so you receive updates every time a new episode comes out. So remember to be safe out there and always wear your life jackets.